Oh, what a mess, what a mess. I can't even. So much wrong with you. Today we're sewing with Patrones. The other day my mom got me a pack and it brought as well an extra with dresses and one of these with little crafts to do around the house. They're all amazing, they have lots of things, but I have a bit of fabric that it's really good for a pair of trousers they come. So the magazine is the 449 and the trousers are this one in a pattern cotton with darts on the back panels and side pockets. So, and it says it's an easy sewing project. So let's see what surprises we have in the instructions. The last thing I sewed with a pattern magazine was these trousers, I think. It's a Patrones pattern and they are a bit tight on the waistline. I mean, I wouldn't be able to sit and have Christmas lunch, but the rest is okay, apart from the instructions, you know. And the first thing you have to do before even looking for your pattern is to measure yourself, because sizes change. I think it's a bit ridiculous that they don't have like a universal size, but they do change, and they change even from Burda to Patrones. I talk about this in the Burda versus Patrones video. It was really interesting. I'll leave you a link here. And it is that I'm, for example, a size 36, like a UK 8, and in the Burda is more or less accurate, but on this one I'm a size 40. So it seems ridiculous to me, because I always think about someone that is bigger than me. You will have to go to plus sizes, so it's a bit of a mess, so measure yourself. Hi, Irene from the future here. This pattern was such a mess. I managed to fix it, but it was terrible. It's the first sheet, side A. Here we go. Where are the pockets? Where are the pockets? Found the pockets. And now let's cut all of this with paper scissors, not with your fabric ones. And now the fabric, I have this lovely denim with little skulls and hearts. I think it's ideal for a pair of trousers. So how much fabric to get? I have here, just measure 1.20 m and it's 150 wide. And they tell you, for example, that you need 1.90 m, but that's because they include all the sizes. This comes in a size 36, 40, 44 and 48. So in order to get them all in there, they'll put what you need for the bigger one. So that's something to take into account. If you want to save some fabric, some material, you could make one of them upside down so the trousers don't overlap each other. You know, trousers have this extra material on the crotch line, so that's going to take a lot of your pattern. But if you put it upside down, one of them, they won't. So that's a little tip, but only for some fabrics. But only for some fabrics, only if your pattern allows you. For example, for me that's not possible because the skulls go one way. And then another thing is that sometimes the shine of the fabric changes if you have it upside down. So take that into account. I will only do it with poplins or linens. And one thing I want to try is to pattern match my pattern. I've done it before and it looks really nice. And you can only pattern match really the front of the trousers, and you'll see the matching bit here underneath your belly button. The rest won't match because it curves, so you won't be able to. It takes more fabric, you're wasting fabric because you have to look for the pattern to match it, where the pattern repeats. So that's the only thing. Because this pattern is quite small, I'll be able to do it wasting less fabric, and I'll use the remaining bit inside for the pockets, so that's not that bad. So I'm going to cut one and then move around my fabric to cut the other panel, the panel opposite. And let's cut now. Now she's going to cut the fabric. Someone stop that woman. And it doesn't matter how careful she is, it's going to turn out terribly. Day 2 of my sewing a pattern project. It always takes me a long time to sew a pattern from a magazine, so that's why I'm most in favor of using my own blocks of measurements. My pattern blocks, they're really easy to make. I'll leave you a link here, and they're really easy to use because you just come here, you have your fabric, you chuck this on top and you cut the shape you want. You can add some more flare to the trousers or cut them shorter, longer, whatever. So it's much more convenient. With the magazines, you have to look for the pattern, trace it, cut the paper, cut the fabric, so it always takes me too long. But I have my panels cut, I have the facings, the pocket, and a zipper, which is a really good color. It's not as blue, it's a bit more grayish, but I think it goes really well. So it says, instructions, it says to add some interfacing to the facings. Maybe I don't, because it's a thicker material already, I'm not sure. And then it says pockets, darts, crotch line, add the zipper, and then facings and hemming. Where does the zipper go if it has pockets? Other sides, leaving an opening for the zipper on the left side. Oh, I'm not sure of anything now. So I'm going to start sewing darts and I'm going to start fake overlocking everything, and then sewing the darts and the crotch line front and back, and I'll keep thinking if I can do that. I have my machine threaded in a grey polyester, sort of a greyish bluish tone, it looks nice, and I have a 9014 needle. So I'm going to fake overlock the crotch lines, and then I'll do the same with the pockets once they're sewn to the side, so I do them together. And I'm still thinking about the zipper. My eye is twitching. So I've been thinking while I sewed the darts and I was fake overlocking everything, and I haven't got to any conclusion just yet about the pocket and the zipper, but so I'm going to keep sewing. I'm going to sew right sides together, the two front panels and the two back panels along the crotch line. So I can still keep thinking while I sew the pockets. So I'm going to sew the pockets right sides together on each side, only to the side seam. Oh, poor thing. I'm going to sew the inner seams from crotch line to one ankle and from crotch line to the other ankle so it doesn't twist. So I'm tempted to open the back seam and put the zipper right there on the back. I think it looks nice, but I still want to try it. I still wanted to do it like they say, but the thing is, like, they don't say because it doesn't explain anything. So I'm going to keep thinking. So now I'm going to the side seams. I'm going to go around the pocket, all this rectangle of fabric, and down to the side seams. And my conclusion with the zipper is that I think, even though I've sewn the pockets, I think I'm going to have to unsew the left side, because I think the zipper is going to go on the back panel and then not on the front panel but on the pocket. So I didn't overlock that bit in case I needed it to unsew, and I think it's going to be the case. So I have my pocket. This is the front of the trousers, the right pocket, everything fine there. And then the left side. The left side, I undid the seam, the pocket seam. So this is the front. The pocket is here, is sewn on the inside, and then this is the back. So here is where the zipper goes. Really easy. Let's open the seam. So I'm going to open my zip and twist it. So I was trying them on to see the hemline, where to put it, and they don't fit me. They don't close. I don't know why. So today is my third day working with the Patrones trousers. I was really disappointed. I haven't been so disappointed in such a long time. Now I understand when people say, I don't really like pattern magazines, they don't work for me, I don't know how to use them or how to trace the pattern, it always goes wrong, and this is why, because it is wrong. The trousers it's not that they don't fit me properly, they are a bit tight. No, they are like 2 sizes wrong, they are too tight, they are too small. And I think it's because of the darts they have in the back panels. The trousers have this pattern, and you can see the shape from the hip up. You can see the curve, and if you have this curve to make the shape of your body, to follow the shape until you get to your waistline, you don't need the darts. It's ridiculous that you have the shape and then you have the dart, because you'll end up with a really small garment. So I've done this before, I've done it a few times. I don't usually add darts when I don't want the pattern to cut. If I have a nice pattern, I've done it with trousers, with skirts, I don't add darts in the front or back, because I think they're going to bother the eye with the pattern. It looks nicer if you have just the garment and it fits perfectly without the darts, and that's why you add the curve. So this is basically wrong. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to unpick all the facings so I can undo the darts. This is a mess because I haven't got more material for the facings, which is a waste. So I'm going to be using this poplin in blue I have from when I fix my son's curtains and then unpick the darts. So let's see, I hope it works. I'm doing it with my scissors because I quite like how it does it, but you can use a seam ripper as well. This is a good method if you have trousers or a skirt that it's a bit small. You can unpick the darts. The only thing is that if you have facings, like in my case, they will be small later on. So you'll have to hem the waistband or the waistline, or add another facing in a different color. That would be And now let's get rid of the darts. This is more complicated if you are shrinking in sort of sewing a garment. If you are taking it in, it's much easier, of course. But if you need to take something to make it bigger, to make it wider, it's much more complicated. So in case of like this, that I have darts that I can get rid of, it's much better. But if you don't, it's really difficult unless you have you can add a sort of patch somewhere. So let's see how I do. Now that this is done, I'll try it on before adding any facings. Let's see. I've tried it on without the darts. It looks like it's going to work, although the front panels are still small. They don't even reach my hips. So this is mending, but it's not how the pattern should be. So anyways, it's just something, we're fixing something, so it's what we have to do. So now after this, I'm going to press the darts a little bit so they get rid of the shape they got with that seam, and I'm going to cut the new facing, and for that I'll be using that poppling, and I'm going to sew it right sides together so there are no seams to be seen. Then once you put it right sides out, you can sew on the sides, not on the front because I want it to be seen as less as possible, but on the side seam and the back seam I'm going to top stitch so it stays in place. Apart from that, they have the understitching that goes down to the zip as well, so it's going to look nice. And for the hemline, it's going to be a double hem, so just fold twice and sew. Let's try it on now. So here I am, I managed to finish them and to fix them, which was the most important thing. I was really upset about the fabric, the pattern, and my time, of course, everything. And that's why there's a lot of people that don't really get how to do it, and I get lots of comments saying, I never finish one, I don't know what I do wrong, but it never fits, it doesn't fit properly, and things like that. And this is why, because it was wrong. I always have problems with patterns, with this magazine in special, not as much with Burda. So it was just a mess. And when you check that you measure yourself right, that you chose the right size they told you, that you cut the pattern that was supposed to be that size, and that you left the amount more than the amount of seam allowance, it's more frustrating. How can you know that the pattern is right? You will have to cut the pattern, and before cutting your fabric, measure the pattern and measure yourself to see if it matches. But being a pair of trousers is a bit more complicated because of all the crotch line, which is not tight. I think it's comfortable, I'm comfortable in them, but it's tight, it's a bit tight, and you can see, well, I can feel that the front panels are a bit tight on the hips, so it's such a pity. And another thing I have to complain about is that it says it's an easy sewing project, and it's not. It's not difficult because it has facings or pockets or a zipper, but the problem is that it's not easy because it's not well explained. It doesn't tell you where the zipper goes, and I had problems, I struggled a lot because I had never seen a zipper sewn to the back panel of a pocket, which is where it goes. At some point I'd even thought it was going to be sewn on the back seam, and I was happy with that because I couldn't see how to do with the pockets and the zipper on the same spot. So it's not explained at all. It tells you to sew the pockets, sew around the pockets, and sew the side seams until you get to the zipper line, and then I sew the zipper in. But it doesn't tell you how, and it doesn't tell you it's sewn to the back side of the pocket. So that's really annoying, and they should explain it a lot better. I like working with patterns because they make you learn and they make you do things you wouldn't do on your own, because I hadn't imagined, I've never had trousers that had this bit with the zipper and the pocket. So that's the good thing about patterns. I like having a look at them. I love seeing different projects, but I really I rather sew my own trousers from my block of measurements, because I never have problems with sizes when I do that. So let me know down in the comments what you thought, if you've done this, if you like sewing with pattern magazines, and the problems you've had. I hope you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe, and I leave you here a link to all the videos I've done with this magazine. And I always complain, so don't miss it.